Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose, and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. If you've listened to our podcast in the past, or you're familiar with Imagine Miracles, or even any of my speaking engagements, you've heard me share that quantum physics tells us there's no mistakes or coincidences in our lives. There's no mistakes or coincidences in the universe. Everything is a creation and a co-creation. Fortunately, and sometimes unfortunately, our creations take us down paths that we never planned on, paths that might create some sadness in our lives, or it might create joy. It might help us grow, or it might slow us down or keep us stuck for a while. It's in knowing that everything that happens in our life happens for a reason, and that reason is all about us. It's all about you. The circumstances help you learn more about yourself. They help you develop your gifts and your talents. They help you perfect your gifts and your talents. They also help you develop a process that only you use to bring those gifts and talents to the world so you can make the difference that you're meant to make. And although sometimes the situations in our lives seem like they could be the end, they seem like they could be something that tears us down and doesn't give us the ability to move forward, what I'll tell you is that each and every one of your creations, each and every one of your co-creations is to help you be all that you can be, to be the who that you're meant to bring what you're bringing to the world, and to live the why that you're meant to live. I'm with Curt Tueffert today, and Curt is a professional speaker, author, and professor. These three legs of the stool provide associations with a proven professional who knows how to connect with his audience, deliver content with the right amount of energy and humor. Curt won the Stevie Award for Sales Content Development and has been a regular adjunct professor at the University of Houston, where he teaches business communication on the master's level and sales marketing on the undergraduate track. Curt is the author of 5 stories for Slaying Giants, 201 Sales Motivators, and is the contributing author for Speak, an anthology written by the National Speakers Association. Curt, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
I am. Thank you so very much for allowing me to be part of this amazing group. And of course, the theme, the miracle, it just gets me so excited.
Oh, I can't wait for you to share your story, tell a little bit about yourself and why you stepped fully into who you are. But before we do that, could you tell us a little bit more about you and the work that you do?
Sure. So for me, a bit on the older side here. I'm starting to peek into 6 decades. And so with that comes some wisdom and a whole lot of reflection. I have so many different hats, and you shared a lot of them. Yes, professional speaker, professor at the University of Houston, full-time working as the vice president of sales development for a Houston-based industrial distributor. And so there's just a lot going on, as well as the volunteer work that I do. So I just don't want to be that person that rests very often.
And in the research I've done, I've seen that you don't rest very often, for sure. You know, we all have this purpose in life, and we like to call it our divine intent at Imagine Miracles, because we believe you truly bring that purpose into life. And there's things that happen along the way that get us to pay attention to it, or or step up a little bit further. Is there any wake up calls that you had in your life, Curt, that brought you to that place?
Vince, thank you. Reflecting on that, that's a deep question. Let me just bring up one thing, well, both things that were out of my control, and I'm that alpha male type A control freak person. The first is my middle son had an addiction problem, and we were faced with a journey that we were not prepared for, which was an intervention. It was pretty binary. Either you get help or you can't come home anymore. And no one is experienced enough to handle that, especially me. I was in denial. I thought, no, that can't happen. That can't happen. And that was a series of wake-up calls for me to basically get re-engaged into a situation where using recovery groups for families of addictive children helped me to begin the awakening process. I was in a slumber as a corporate executive, as a hard charging guy. And this wake-up call was just the precursor to a second, more intensive wake-up call.
What would that be, Curt?
Well, after 34 years, our marriage ended. And coming from a faith-based background and having a divine purpose, I really wrestled with that for many years because I just didn't think that would ever happen to me. It would never happen. And through that process, from the moment we decided to separate, through that process, it was an awakening for me. I became a man of purpose. I became a man that was heavily into volunteer work, and things that I never did before. I had a mentor come alongside me and say, I do divorce care, Curt. These are the things you need to do. You need to pray like you've never prayed before. You need to seek counsel and wisdom, and you need to volunteer. And that journey led me to a reinvention of who I am, trying to become the best version of me I could be. And I started to do it for the salvage of the marriage. And then I matured into, I'm doing it for myself so I can be the best version of me I can be to the world. And that led me into a whole series of new adventures, and just maybe having that ending be not so painful, although there is no such thing as a painless divorce.
It is. I've been through one, and I know what it feels like to lose something that you spent so much time in, for sure, but also to find yourself in the loss. So one of my main wake-up calls also was a divorce. And what I started out to do after that divorce was to find out what was missing. And what was missing was me. I was missing in my life. So it sounds like you experienced something similar in this pain and in this knowing that you wanted to find the best version of yourself. What were the steps you went through for that?
Well, first I went to counseling with an open mind. Prior to that, I would go to counseling with maybe my arms crossed, a frown on my face, and a very defensive posture. And I found myself in a place where my hands were open. I was very intimate in this intimacy, or intimacy. I learned to come with a notepad and a pen and really try to do what I could to stop the voices in my head saying, no, that's really not you. Taking that advice that I learned from what we're calling Al-Anon, which is the families of people who are in a recovery program, and using everything I could to step back and say, I need to engage, I need to be more present. And after just going through that denial process, I let go, and I realized that, there's a lot of things about me that I can change. And I started to work that. And I felt my counselor saw me turn the corner and saw me show up, both present in form, but also present in mind. And really take to heart what he said and work on those things, and to be that guy who could change, not blaming another person, just looking into myself saying, I'm just going to go neutral at this point and just become the best version I can be. Read, and I read books and listened to podcasts and attended meetings and all of that. And it proved, not at the time, in the time it was messy, but it proved that later on, now in the present, when I'm in a different relationship and a new marriage, that I'm bringing a different person to this particular relationship. Someone who's more refreshing, caring, very much in tune with, don't run from communication, face it. If you want to fight or flight, get rid of those two things and try to just be present.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things for me, shared when you were in the green room before we started our interview, that Mary and I also have a son, my stepson, who has been through and is still in the recovery process. It's been many years for him. And one of the most amazing things for me in this journey is that he's become a mentor of sorts to me, just in learning about some of the stuff we teach in Imagine Miracles, especially the ego and how the ego affects us, but also the programs that were available to us and family weeks as we went through the journey with him. And it was and is a 9-year journey. So we learned so much. I think this would be interesting to share with the imagination. What did you learn in that journey, and how did it help you become this man that you just shared you've become?
Wow. You just took me to family week, and I was in a session, in a recovery program. You get to be with your son or daughter through some of what they're going through, but then there's some private time with the counselor. And he kind of read my mail. He looked right through me and said, Curt, your problem is you never look in the past. You're always looking in the future. And that's a problem. And he looked at my wife and he says, your problem is you're always in the past and you're never in the future. And, that was the start of, oh crap, you're right. I need to get out of denial, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't for a guy who is always Tigger, never Eeyore, maybe too much Pollyanna. I always believed the best in everything. And that my safety net was denial. My backstory is I grew up in a family where both my mother and my father were alcoholics. And they both died before I was 21 years old, one of alcoholism. And everything that you learn about these things with post-traumatic stress disorder, and a child becomes the adult because the adult becomes the child as their alcoholism rages. I carried all that from my preteens to my teen years into my college years. And there was a lot of bad wiring that I started to say, if it's going to change, it's going to change now. And I've got to face the fact that crap is happening all around me. And I just can't be that motivational speaker and believe it'll get better.
When that happened for you, Curt, could you share what you uncovered, what you found to help you on that journey?
I've got a strong faith system. And so I relied upon that. And the interesting thing is, the people that I went to in my faith system couldn't handle it. They were not ready to handle the dissolving of a 34-year marriage or the alcoholism of a son that they've seen grow through the church. So they avoided it. And they just wanted to just come back when you're better. So I had to just go, my source is just, you call it divine, you call it, I want to keep that theme. And I went to God. I'm like, okay, you need to rewire me because this is not working. And through a series of volunteer work. I shared with your listeners, a gentleman came and said, you need to volunteer. And I volunteered, and of all things, I volunteered to go on a mission trip to Honduras. I'm the guy that has opposable thumbs, and that's about it. I never wanted to do this. I had no desire. But the guy that led it said, all I want you to do is carry my toolbox. And I thought, I can do that. And that led to 6 additional trips where I was building swing sets in elementary schools in Honduras for kids who basically had never seen a swing set before. And who'd have thunk that this alpha male senior executive of $1 billion industrial distributor would be turning wrenches and loving on kids. And through that journey, Vince, my oldest son and my youngest daughter both went on different separate trips with me. And they saw me not as their dad or the broken or the angry guy, but a different guy, which started a whole series of relationship repairing.
That's so awesome. And what a great place and way to do that. One of the things that Mary and I have found is, as you move down into the Latin American area, if you move into Mexico and start dealing with the people in the family, there's so much love there and so much care for each other that I found, I don't know about you, but I found that it was motivating for me to see that kind of interaction between families and interaction for communities for each other. How did you find that?
Wow. You must have been on the trips with me, Vince. I was blown away at the poverty, and I was also amazed by the gratitude of the simple life that they lived. La Familia is so woven into all cultures, whether it's in Honduras or Mexico, or my wife, my new wife, I don't know what to call that. We just got married in November of last year, so it's new. She's from Venezuela. So everything I thought I was doing in Honduras was like the precursor to a gift to me that God was saying, hey, you're not ready for it yet, but sometime in the future, I'm going to give you a gift you won't even begin to appreciate. And I'm overwhelmed by that sense of gratitude, community, and joy that these Hondurans had when they had nothing. They couldn't even afford an extra set of clothes to go to school. It broke my heart, and yet they were smiling, and that just attracted me to go on mission trips 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That's so amazing that you had that opportunity, first of all, but second of all, you had all those teachers to help you on the journey. Let me ask you this, Curt. In going through the divorce, going through the time with your son, your volunteer work, all the personal work that you had to do to look at yourself after a divorce and move forward, where did that lead you? Did you uncover something more or something that you wanted to do different in life from that point on?
Yeah. It gave me a chance to basically give back without strings attached. There's just something about growing up, always fighting for something, watching my both parents completely destroy themselves. I was always bartering love, bartering. If I do this for you, will you do that for me? Not trying to keep score, but always knowing if I do all these things around the house, will my father praise me? Will my mother acknowledge it? And that screwed up thinking took me all the way through to the divorce, because on the outside, I thought I was doing all the right stuff. I thought, and everybody around me thought I was doing the right stuff. Model husband, but inside she was dying. She was starving, and I wasn't hearing it. And so now, from that horrible event to today, my volunteering, my giving of myself is not 100% selfless. I'm still selfish, but it's a lot less selfish than it once was. And my gratitude for just every small little thing seems to be magnified and multiplied.
Shared earlier that you like the theme of how we look at miracle, and at Imagine Miracles, we call a miracle through an act of love, sharing your gifts and talents so others could share theirs. How are you here, or in this new level of awareness, what would you say you're here to share your gifts and talents for and towards?
Wow. That's a tough question because it's so intimate and it's so transparent, and that's what I'm learning to be. My beautiful new wife has a son who's 10 years old who doesn't have a father. I've raised 3 adult children, 32, 31, and 23. I get a chance to do it all over again for this young boy, differently, with presence, with compassion. And maybe, just maybe, that's what I'm here to do, is to show him a male role model, and to be that kind man, that strong man, but a kind man for him, because maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have one in his life. His dad is not in the picture, and all extended family are in Germany, Venezuela, and Ecuador. So I feel maybe that's where I'm supposed to be. It's not easy, Vince. I've done this already. I didn't think I'd have the energy to do it again. But there's a divine purpose, and I need to get out of the way and let God work through me to pour my love out on this small child.
So perfect in understanding that things happen for a reason. Quantum physics tells us there are no mistakes or coincidences. So your new wife, this new son in your life, I'm sure is going to help you grow and expand in ways that you never thought possible. I'm sure there was other changes in your life. So, as a VP of a large corporation, what kind of changes happened in you and your experience at DPX?
Well, gosh, you're really good. One thing that I've been struggling with for the longest time is where I'm placing my identity. And my identity has been wrapped around the corporate America, what I do, not who I am. And I know that I need to let go with both hands. I need to let go of this identity wrapped around a corporation. And once I turn away, once I let go of that, and then I need to turn toward something that's much deeper, much more purpose-driven, and for the identity. And I'm in that process right now. I'm either the analogy where I'm the monkey with my hand in the cage, and I can't get my hand out because I'm holding on to the banana, and so I'm frustrated because I keep railing my hand against the cage, but it doesn't come out. I'm in the process of letting go of the banana and taking my hand out of the cage, but I'm afraid if I do that, I won't have anything else. So I'm in the process of jettisoning one identity and bolting onto something bigger, higher, stronger, deeper, richer. And man, it's a mess.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, my friend. I think as I get to do more and more work through Imagine Miracles, because I just retired in September from United Airlines. I was an airline pilot for 26 years. And we really started stepping fully into Imagine Miracles. And I'm getting to learn from our clients, really understand even further than I thought I did before I went full time in this business, that as we move beyond the understanding of our identity isn't on the outside, our identity is on the inside. And when we discover who we are, the energy that we bring to the world, our special gifts and talents, a lot of people believe that, okay, well, I've got to step out into the world a different way. I've got to find a new job, or maybe I should start life coaching. But I think you're going to be able to help the imagination in this, in helping them understand that as you uncover who you are, and as you learn about more about who you are on the inside, it can also affect your current position or what you're doing, and also magnify how you're showing up in your current position. Have you seen that in learning more about yourself? Have you seen yourself show up different in the corporation?
Recently, yes, because recently I've had the intentionality to find my identity on the inside. And so I show up with the same level of passion and creativity, but it isn't with my hand out waiting for the accolade, waiting for my boss to pat me on the head and say, good boy. I do what I do it well, and then I move on. And my wife sees things in me. She echoes and she speaks what she would feel is truth into my life about, you're a good man, you're a kind man, you're a smart man, you're a gentle man. Words that for the longest time would bounce off the side of a granite rock. And now I'm starting to receive those. And at first I would just receive them and hide them in a corner like, oh, I don't think that's really true. But now I'm just, you have gratitude. Thank you for seeing that in me. I don't see it in myself yet, but I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to step into that if that's what I'm doing.
When we grew up, and even young men today, in many ways, those things are negatives
Yes.
in life, and not necessarily positive. How am I going to make it in this dog eat dog competition, competitive corporate world if I'm gentle and kind? And but what I think everyone needs to realize is that we bring something completely unique, each and every one of us. And it's the gentle, the kind, the ability to speak, the ability to write, the ability to be a teacher, the ability to see marketing in a whole different way. It's the whole combination of those gifts and talents of you that's what and has to show up in the world. So I think it's great that you can share that these things were there as part of you, but there were things that probably were held off to the side because that's not how I'll succeed, or that's not how I'll be recognized as strong and as magnificent as I am. So one thing that I'd like to ask in all this understanding and all of this waking up to who you are, Curt, how has that affected you as a speaker?
It allows me to be more transparent and a bit more empathetic. As a speaker, if someone asks me to speak on sales or on my book, 5 Stones for Slaying Giants, and I'm doing that work, I might have been more mechanical back in the day. Now I'm taking a little bit more time to be a bit more transparent. And while I feel the audience is connecting, they're connecting at a deeper level. Even the young ones, if you're talking to somebody who's 25, 30 years old and I'm twice their age, I can move that down. And I move that down with stories or transparency or the words I use, and they feel like, wow, this guy really gets me.
So what difference do you want to make in the world with all this newfound insight into Curt?
I think I want to leave a legacy. The difference I want to make is I want to be the kind of man that other men can confide in, and when they struggle, they can come to me and share some of the struggles that they have, and know that I'm a safe place where they can share that. And maybe I could speak truth in their life with the experiences that I've had, just like you've spoken truth into my life from the shared experiences of a child in addiction and a broken marriage.
And I'm sure that that's something that you're definitely meant to do. You can tell that you're coming from the heart when you share that's your desire. Curt, I told you this would go so fast, it would blow your mind. We're already coming to the end of our time. So I'd wondered if you could share a parting piece of guidance with the imagination to help them on their journeys.
Absolutely. Continuous learning. Let's always be learners, self-reflected if we need to, or just I've discovered that there's so much wisdom now on podcasts and on TED Talks and other places that if I'm willing to receive this, then my ego, this battle, this monster inside of me, that's vying for attention, gets quieter and allows me to get those nuggets I need.
Oh, that's such great advice. One of the things that we share as we do the ego work in Imagine Miracles is the ego is part of us, and it will always be. These subpersonalities will always be part of us. It's not something that we push aside or get rid of. It's something that we learn to work with and hopefully partner with. And what you shared was so powerful in as it quiets, it's working with us and helping us walk our journey. Curt, I know there's a lot of people that want to know about your books and how to learn more about you. Could you share that information?
The easiest place, because of so much change in the world, is my LinkedIn profile. My last name is Tueffert. There's only one of me. There's only one Curt Tueffert on the planet. Easiest place to get me is through LinkedIn. And from there, we can talk about anything else that would be of gifting or booking or things of that nature.
And I'll make that information available, and as well as a few other things to help you get in touch with Curt. Curt, I want to thank you for sharing your story, for being vulnerable and showing up in the world in a way that I am positive you're going to make a major difference as you move forward, not just in your corporation, not just in the books, but also in who you are and how you show up in the world and how you make yourself available for others. So thank you so much for the journey that you're on and sharing it with us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Vince, for allowing me to come on and to talk to your listeners.
All right. On behalf of Mary, my wife and business partner, all of the team at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.